I'm trying to find a hot spot so my stream doesn't freeze. I've basically learned two things from living, and that a price point can be made for anything if it is to be broken for a cost. Anything can be broken for a cost. So it's a question of how much would the most expensive thing be to break? I was at the checkout counter and I told them I'm in a rush because I'm in a rut. And then when you are in go mode and it's go time, you don't know everything about things that are happening around you. You're likely to fall victim and be a goose. So there was a plastic bag. Well, before then, she was grabbing a phone at the counter, and then the scan gun got tangled and it got hit off. And so I saw there was a disruptance. And then right after that happened, I put my phone on the counter, and then I looked away for a minute and I heard some crackling. The same lady was pulling a bag over my phone and crinkling it. I think she was like discarding it, but I thought it was static coming off of my phone. Well, who's the goose in this case? Why would there be static that loud over my phone? For someone to be like, you look sick all the time, why don't you just try easing up and taking it easier? And then you just be like, why don't you make me chicken noodle soup, but without the chicken? What's the difference between a hydraulic pump and a fountain? It's a seed germinate. The pressure is handled in the same. So cybernetically, the amount of nutrients in an entire crop field can be calculated. And so that would both be based off of pollination and a germination, how that was handled. So a stream in a lower resolution would be able to clear a window. And it's just as in a crop field, when it's cut with preservatives and additives, the window is bigger, where you don't have to care as much for pollination and germinating technique. But even a step further, if you could pick which crop field you would like to pick from the pick of the litter. Black on black all day. Hydraulic and a spewing pump, hose that's cut is very similar because they both fan. Just one is in a more compressed region. The O-ring within the hydraulic is equivalent to the fan of the splatter from a fountain. It's almost like a steamer when the whole thing is getting dehydrated. And what I mean by a backdraft, treating it like wood, quite literally so. You could actually do this in the same way that you're finding the tree tap. You tap a hole in it. Well, the entire crop field is going to be the same way at the point where it's dehydrating the most. If you correlate that through the other crops, it's going to catch on like wildfire and the snowball effect. The more you can utilize that symmetry, you're going to be able to capitalize off the trees around it and the crop field for all they're worth together, merge sorting them. They're two arrays within the action of one merge sort. So one way to increase the profit of crop is to milk it for everything it's worth, but when you do that, you're able, if you can compartmentalize it, dehydrating. Start emulating the trees that are foliage around it. It's already jacked into the same, it's already dialed into the same landscape. And so just as like with telomeres in your DNA, by keeping them strong, you're not growing them, but you're keeping them from shrinking. The same concept is when the yields are drying up, then you are able, just if you could emulate the environment around it, utilize that as the backdrafting. And so just by like emulating the environment around it, it could capitalize off something like a backdraft would. What if there was a way to tell if you could make an entire field dry out the same way that a tree would, and if you could mimic that and it would actually be beneficial? What's the most complex design that is so easy that everyone knows that it is normal? A spider web, and a spider web that's been drenched, or a dried out field full of crops and rows. Solidifying one and compressing it is a compartmentalization of either like a marble fixture or tree ring. This is like a belt. It's a strap, but the strap is a belt. If you use a shoelace for a fan belt, that'll work, and this concept's been taken into a different accord. I just ate beets inside beet juice. They were softened, and I have an aftertaste like I just had oysters that had been under the ocean its entire life. And then just last month, I had this odd sensation I've never had. Whatever I ate, I could taste slightly the envelope, sticky adhesive. You know, when you lick an envelope and it has that taste of adhesive? I had that in the back of my tongue for like a month. An over accentuation is something that can blow out an ACL. It's when people are not quite ready and then they contort. The only compare and contrast is a ripped ligament. And that is something that may never recover. And knowing how close you are is not even necessary, because it can happen so drastically that you won't even have time, even if you're prepared. But in a flash flood, you won't even have time, not even if you're prepared. Similarly, if you have an entire field and you plant all the seeds at the same time, controlling if they can germinate at the same time, you would be utilizing an environment around it so it's hydrated equally across. So that the floodplain exchange would have equal parts. So when recording a stream, you want the feed to be clean. If you're switching audios and then it just drops the stream, would it break the recording? It's just how anything can be utilized, but only a few things are actually utilized as registers. It's the timing of the germinations would give better potential for the pollination to have equaled out for the maximum yields. We're in a modern day and age where precision is everything. When it comes to offending people, I mean, it's across the board. Me, on the other hand, I'm gonna start taking offense so I can join the group on the other end. And so in taking offense, I would like to have that in my grasp. When someone uses the word, my heart skips a beat, my heart skipped a beat, one second, my heart skipped a beat when I heard da-da-da-da. Well, da-da-da-da. My heart is under the condition of a heart murmur, this is inevitable for me. A heart murmur means that instead of your heart having a consistent beat, consisting of, the lub dub lub dub, mine is asymmetric, so it is random at best. The fluid in it is being pumped out at random at best. It's a miracle that I don't falter. So whatever is circulating and panning out the asymmetric pumps, it's doing a pretty good job. And so the other thing that is miraculous, that my arms don't fall off when I'm picking something up. Oh my God, how scary would that be if you thought, boy, if I'm gonna pick this up and my arm falls off, I'm screwed. Well, how that doesn't happen is a constant that's miraculous.